Hey everyone, Ridden here, and thank you for coming. And tonight, we're going to be taking a deeper look at episode 2 of season 1 of Marvel Studios' The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Welcome back everyone, and picking up right where we left off last week, this is still truly a terrible sight. So I can't tell you how in awe of the showrunners I was in this week's episode when it opened up with this incredible scene prior to the Marvel opening, humanizing the guy who has been the ire and butt of everyone's mean tweets and angry memes for the better part of a week. The exchanges between he and his significant other, as well as his partner Lamar, were really intended to drive home to the fans that, hey, this guy is just another person given an amazing opportunity that no one would want to turn down. And when they expanded more on his resume after the opening at the rally at his high school, confirming for us that this is in fact John Walker, I must say I was fairly impressed. Dude does seem really legit, which to me indicates they're spending all of this time building him up just to make for an even more dramatic heel turn when he later goes to the dark side, which I don't know will happen for sure, but I expect because that's just a basic superhero movie / TV show trope.
Yes.
I love how Bucky started out in this episode as basically all of us, as he gave Sam all the earfuls he deserved for even putting us in this position to begin with, because any logical person would have assumed this could be one of the outcomes of him giving back the shield. I was a bit let down last week spending the entire episode not seeing Bucky and Sam together, but it made sense as them being together at that point really wouldn't have served the story and setup they accomplished for both characters. And it was seeing Bucky showed up at just the right moment as the trip to Munich turns out to be the first time we see our guys in action together. One of the best bits of the episode to me was during the back and forth between Sam and Bucky, where Sam was giving him job and called him the White Panther, to which Bucky responds, it's actually the White Wolf. This moment was really cool and satisfying, as we heard T'Challa refer to him by the same name in Infinity War.
This one may be tired of war, but the White Wolf has rested long enough.
In the comics, the character of Hunter, the White Wolf, was actually head of the Wakandan police force, the Hatu Serhaze, for a time, and was actually adopted by King T'Chaka when his parents died in a plane crash in Africa and was raised as a brother to T'Challa. Due to him being white and a foreigner, he was always viewed by most Wakandans with contempt and suspicion, but that didn't stop him from striving to be T'Challa's equal. So Bucky acknowledging that title is just another cool nod to the fans by the showrunners that, hey, we read comics too growing up, and all of this stuff is just as cool to us as it is to you, if not even more so.
Look at you, all stealthy. Little time in Wakanda and you come out White Panther.
It's actually White Wolf.
Huh?
The fight scene on top of the trailers delivered just as I had expected it to, although on a much quicker timetable than I had anticipated. Bucky and Sam engaged the flag smashers, and saying that they held their own, I think, is the best way to put it. All the way up until we see the arrival of John Walker and his partner, Lamar Hoskins. I was actually shocked by this, as I wasn't expecting to see Bucky, Sam, and John on screen together, let alone them fighting together against a common enemy so quickly. So I really think that we're getting a solid picture of the pacing that we can expect from this show, keeping in mind that it's only going to be 6 episodes. And now that we know they're going to be going up against super soldiers, I expect the fight scenes to continue to be highlight worthy. Prior to the show starting last week, I'd read online that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was to be more of the villain of the week format than Wandavision was. And that instead of subtle Easter eggs, the fandom would spend hours trying to dig through and decipher that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier would be much more direct and to the point. So, along with our White Wolf reference, we also got Lamar Hoskins, also known as Battlestar in the comics. On the pages, as in the show, Lamar is the best friend of John Walker, and they both undergo the power broker process, having their strength augmented to superhuman levels. Funny enough, when John became Captain America in the comics, Lamar became his partner, going by the name Bucky, which was derived from his previous gig as a bold urban commando, where he would stage attacks on John Walker as Super Patriot at his pep rallies. His name was eventually changed as the term was deemed demeaning to African Americans, so he became Battlestar, the name by which he appears here in the episode. And if that wasn't enough, when Bucky tells Sam that there is someone he should meet when they realize the gravity of the existence of the super soldiers they just encountered, we get the reveal of a live action Isaiah Bradley. This to me was the highlight of the episode. The Isaiah Bradley character from the comics is one of the more heartbreaking tales you could ever read, and to see it visually represented on the screen was just as heavy. Known as the Black Captain America, Isaiah was one of some 300 black soldiers who were used as test subjects in an attempt to recreate the super soldier serum after Steve Rogers disappeared. On his last assignment to stop the development of the German super soldier formula, Isaiah took a Captain America shield and costume with him, a choice he paid for with 17 years of his life, as while his mission was successful, he was captured, and when he was finally rescued, the US military court-martialed him and gave him life in prison for stealing the Captain America costume, where both physically and mentally his body wasted away because of the side effects of the super soldier serum he was given. It would seem our live action Isaiah Bradley here has a similar backstory.
You know what they did to me for being a hero? They put my ass in jail for 30 years.
Along with a checkered history with Bucky, I was really hoping we'd get a flashback to their fight in the bar in Goyang, and although we didn't, I'm holding out hope that we will at some point, seeing Bucky left with only half of his metal arm. As I mentioned in my episode 1 review last week, in the comics, the Flag Smasher was one guy, Carl Morgenthau. So, finding out that our female lead of the Flag Smashers we've been seeing featured in the trailers, played by Erin Kellyman, has the actual name of Carly Morgenthau is another nod to the inspirations behind the show's plot. I believe this could just be simply a tool of adaptation and not something we can expect will lead to the reveal of her dad or something by the accurate comic book name. I was really hoping when she got the text early in the episode about having stole something from someone that we maybe see Zemo surface, but what I wasn't expecting was for the Power Broker to have a presence in this show.
It's the Power Brokers, man.
Everybody grab what you can.
I'll be very intrigued to see how the storyline plays out, as having John Walker and Lamar Hoskins in the show as their comic counterparts with Power Broker as well starts to make me wonder if we'll see them become super powered at some point. And logically, it begs the question of whether or not the Flag Smasher stole their new abilities from the Power Broker as well, and if they'll be presented to us as villains here in the beginning and will eventually give way to the actual big bad of the series. I also must speak to the contentious relationship we see between Bucky and Sam and John Walker and Lamar Hoskins. I was a bit concerned towards the end of the episode when John bailed Bucky out of prison that maybe that would lead to Bucky and Sam working with him, which to me would have completely undercut all of the loyalty and camaraderie and brass we've seen the two build in and around their respective relationships with Steve and each other. So when things ended up not going that way and John Walker left them instead with a nice little
Stay the hell out of my way.
it felt very satisfying that we'll continue to see the void between the two sides grow as our various plots continue and converge.
We're gonna go see Zemo.
And was anybody else excited for this scene as much as I was? Baron Zemo to date has been one of my favorite MCU villains, and not even necessarily for the strength of the presentation of his character in Captain America Civil War, but more so for the fact that that film could have done so much more with him. And it's always been so obvious to me that had Daniel Bruhl been given the freedom and leeway to do more with the role, he definitely could have. So although we don't see much of him here, we can assume we will next week, and this at least gives the fandom the knowledge of knowing that at this time he is still in fact in custody, which is something a lot of fans and pundits have been questioning, suggesting that maybe in the ruckus of the blip and everyone returning, he had managed to escape. But we now know that that's not the case at all, and that next week we'll be seeing a very, very interesting reunion. This episode was probably the best follow-up to the first one we could have gotten. The numerous comic book references and characters really blew me away, and I'm still not fully over the Isaiah Bradley moment. We spent so much time theory crafting in Wandavision that I'm sure a lot of us really didn't know what to do with ourselves the whole time they were dropping comic book character name after comic book character name. And now that Bucky seems to be off the hook with his therapist, I'm interested to see how he will fare after its abrupt ending, and if Sam in some way will fill that role for him or aid him in continuing to get past his issues. In return, will Bucky aid Sam in the resolution of his own issues on the home front? As always, I will be continuing to cover this show here weekly on my channel. And if you feel so inclined, I would love to have you back here next week to continue to cover it with us. Again, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell for notifications if you've enjoyed our content here tonight. Jump down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. And while you're at it, be sure to check out some of the other content here on the channel. All of the necessary links are listed here below for you to keep up with the coming content and shareables. Please be sure to follow me on all social media platforms, or just the one you use most frequently. We are slowly but surely building a community here, and I would personally love for you to be a part of that. And last but not least, we have a merch store. So whether you see something you like or just simply want to support the channel, head on over to our shop and grab something, or grab everything. But again, thank you so much, guys and gals, for visiting here with us today. I really appreciate each and every viewing minute of your time you've given us. There's loads of content we'll be sending your way, so I'll be seeing you. But for now, be blessed. And it was written.
Across the nighttime, the city sleep inside. Yeah, hear her voice, shake my window, sweet seducing.